Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Nobody Asked for This podcast. You find me yet again in a car because why not? Although I've been seeing a lot of I don't know if it's because my phone hears me talk about how much time I spend alone in a car, but I've been getting a lot of information on my YouTube Shorts or YouTube Reels or whatever it's called about how being in a car alone, in a parking lot even, is not safe. You shouldn't be doing that because someone could run up and do something wild. So I want to be safe and I want to be cautious and listen and whatever. But what am I supposed where am I supposed to record my podcast? That's what the Reels did not teach me. That's what the YouTube Shorts did not inform me of. It's okay, so where do we record our podcasts? I guess a studio, a podcast studio would be the answer to that. But still, it's just that just seems like a hassle, And also, am I really going to seek out a podcast studio for a podcast that, again, nobody asked for? I don't know. I guess that's just, I just have to ask myself that question. But for now, we're here. We're in the car. I hope everyone has had a great week. It happened. The time has switched yet again, which finally, for the better. The one in November, we don't like so much because it is, it's the one where you gain an hour of sleep, which is good, but then you basically lose all orientation of daylight, time, and space because it starts getting dark at literally 2:30 p.m. So this one is good because it was 7 o'clock today, and I looked out the window, and I was it is still sunny. Now, it is still a little bit disorienting, and I didn't realize how much I relied on the sun to tell me, time of day. I'm pretty much a survivalist in that sense. I didn't know, because I was looking out the window, and I was oh, this looks like maybe 5 o'clock. I hadn't looked at the time in a while, so I was oh, it's probably 5, and I looked, and it was 6:30. And I was what? How am I that off? And it's because, it's because the time changed. But I was I would have been right. My guess would have been accurate a week ago. And I'm also confused at, because the initial jump is obviously the most obvious. But, the sun will start setting later, as time goes on. It's a minute or something less each day. So, that we also have to look forward to. Although, as much as I've complained about daylight savings and why does it get dark at 2:30, I kind of don't mind it getting dark at 6. I think that is especially this time of year. Maybe in the summer, yeah, get dark at 9. That's perfect. But I don't know that March it needs to be light at 7. I kind of like the conclusion of a 5:30 p.m. sunset, where it's the sun is set, we don't have to worry about making plans to do stuff. It's nighttime, it's bedtime, let's just go to bed. I'm all about let's just go to bed. My sleep schedule recently has been a bit more chaotic than I would have liked it to be, or would like it to be, I guess is how you word that. But I'm all for throwing in the towel. And I can't really throw in the towel at 8 o'clock if the sun has only been set for an hour. That seems sad to me. Just objectively, it's just zooming out, But anyway, I hope everyone has had a great week. I had a decent week. Yeah. I think so. I'm trying to think back. What did I do this week? Really not much. I keep yawning, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Okay, this is so boring, even it's putting me to sleep. But let me think of something interesting to say. Shoot. Yeah, so I have to issue a correction or an apology for the end of last episode of the Nobody Asked for This podcast. I realized I wasn't recording the last minute or something cut off. So the outro cut off at a certain point where it didn't really make sense for me to be done speaking. I was cut off mid-sentence, which normally like, not a huge deal. I'm sure I wasn't saying anything important. But, like, when it's, like, the last thing I was going to leave you with, it was very confusing for me to be like, and then you can find, and then cut off. So I tried to re-record it about 4 times and attach it to the file, like the larger file of like the majority of the episode. And I couldn't figure it out. It was the most effort I'd put into any sort of post-production on the Nobody Asked for This podcast. And it was all for naught. It did not work. The file wasn't export, import. I'm weird with technology. Like, I think what it comes down to is perseverance. Like, no one is born inherently, at least yet. I'm sure, like, kids now are gonna, we're gonna all be born like with computerized thinking. I'm Jeff Bezos. No, but we're all gonna get better at technology. But, like, you really, at this point, like, it's perseverance. It's who can sit at the computer long enough and click as many buttons and Google as much Yahoo answers as possible to find the solution. And I just wasn't in a position where I was willing to give any more time to this endeavor. So the last episode was quite literally cut short. But probably no one noticed because, again, say it with me, nobody asked for this. And that's the beautiful thing about doing a podcast that no one really listens to, because it's like, who cares? Like, who cares in a beautiful way, not who cares in a who cares way. Like, whatever comes out naturally is what comes out. If nothing comes out, nothing comes out. That was a very fast car. You got a fast car. That's a very good song. Anyway, so yes, I'm sure everyone was wondering what happened there, and I'm glad that I could fully, like, set the record as straight as possible. And I do apologize. But, yeah, we're going to get into some topics that I haven't even, I don't even know. It's going to be such a surprise. I'm really just trying to stall, to wait for the moment where something really sparks. I mean, and if not, I can just start talking about granola and peanut butter again. Actually, we are coming up on the end of kind of Q1, and everyone who knows me knows I have 2 New Year's resolutions. One is to skydive. Now, that goal was set for like a Q2 launch date. The literal launch, the closest I've gotten to pursuing that goal is Googling, like, prices. Apparently jumping out of a plane is rather expensive, which makes absolutely no sense to me, because if you're assuming that much risk, shouldn't it be like $5? Although I guess you could look at it like, I want it to be like, I want the most expensive parachute that parachute producers can make. Like, I want the gold standard, like, I basically want my parachute to be a whole entire other airplane, just in case. What else do I want? Who is, like, flashing their lights? Okay, do you ever notice that when someone's going over, like, bumpy roads, it looks like they're flashing their lights at you, and then, like, you make it about you? I'll be like, what? What do you want me to do? And if someone's in a car with me, they're like, they're not flashing their lights at you. You're going over potholes. And then you're like, oh, and then you feel dumb. And then you have to do the thing where you, like, you're like, and they're still wrong, you know? Like, you can't just, like, accept that you were wrong. You have to be like, well, then whose job is it to fix the potholes? Just redirect that anger elsewhere. Away from you. Because nothing is my fault and I'm perfect. Anyway, what was I talking about? I was talking about something to do with, before potholes, lights, flashing lights. I got distracted. What were we talking about? Oh, skydiving. So yeah, I think I want it to happen. I'm not, it's a goal. It's an attainable goal. I could do it tomorrow. I could also not do it. So we're going to see what happens there. And then my other goal that I didn't have a set date for is that I wanted to make a yogurt bowl, meaning peanut butter, yogurt, probably Greek yogurt, just, is preferable, and granola, all from scratch. Will that happen? I feel like it might. The problem is I've had an inkling to make granola, and I'm like, well, listen, I'm not gonna go 33.3% on this. Like, if I'm making granola, I might as well just make the peanut butter, because that's just putting peanuts in a blender, and then figure out how to make yogurt. Now, yogurt is confusing to me. I want to say I think you need yogurt to make yogurt, which, like, what is a sourdough? Like, sourdough starter, I'll never understand. It's like, you didn't make that. Like, you had sourdough, and then it, like, grows, and then you make more sourdough. So, excuse me, I don't know if I need to start the next sort of trend, like, if maybe we all just start making Greek yogurt. I'm gonna Google it. Greek yogurt recipe. Specifically Greek. Homemade Greek yogurt. Unless, of course, making non-Greek yogurt is easier, then we're just going to do that. Okay, jump to recipe. I think I've admitted this before. I both think that the taste of Greek yogurt tastes like strep throat and could eat an entire tub and, like, live a happy life. Like, I don't know how I am both people, but I am. Okay, so the ingredients, and this is thekitchen.com, but there's no E in kitchen. Sure. And it says you need ice. I have that. You need half a cup of whole milk plain yogurt. Well, yeah, so, like, and then 4 cups of whole milk. So how do you make it from scratch? Like, if you have yogurt, why do you need to make yogurt? Can you only turn it into more yogurt? There's a metaphor in there somewhere. Oh, the oven's involved? Yikes. Arrange a rack in the bottom third of the oven. Huh. Yeah, listen, here's the thing. I would do this, but I feel like it wouldn't be... Like, I wouldn't feel accomplished from it. I would feel like a fraud. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't feel like, man, I really did what I set out to do. I'd feel like kind of stupid a little bit. Because it's like, no, you didn't actually make Greek yogurt. You just made more Greek yogurt. But then, if you already had it, like, why would you need to make more? Anyway, this is very confusing to me. I wish everyone well on this journey. Everyone at thekitchen.com with no E. But I don't know that this is for me. And you know what? I think that's okay. I think you're allowed to switch up your New Year's resolution. I think it's all about, we're dynamic beings, you know? I really want a falafel. Falafels are funny. It's like, what am I eating? But, like, I love a falafel. And also, I've noticed some people call, like, the wrap, like, if you get a falafel wrap, they'll just call it, like, a falafel. But then also, like, the falafel is, like, it's chickpea, right? Like, the chickpea nugget? Chickpea bite? I would like any and all combinations of those things. And the best thing about a falafel is it's dry, but not in a bad way, but just in a way where it justifies using, like, heaping amounts of sauce, which is really what I'm in it for. Like, that's like a tzatziki. Are you kidding? A tahini? Is that what it's called? Yeah, I get tahine and tahini mixed up sometimes, but I do actually know the difference. It's just like sometimes my brain swirls them together a little bit. Like, I've definitely called the stuff that I put on my mango, like the chili powder lime seasoning, I've definitely called that tahini, and I've definitely called what I put on a falafel tahine. And they are, that other than both being like a condiment of sorts, they are vastly different. I would like both now. So I don't know how I make that happen. But here I sit. Actually, I have such a personal win with a slight personal loss buried in the middle there. But I have successfully dodged yet another one of Apple's tactics. Yes, I'm naming names. I'm not going to say, company that, is named after a fruit that starts with A. Like I'm saying Apple, whatever that guy's name that does the announcements, Tim something or other. Like I'm on to you. I've been on to you. And the thing that makes me comfortable saying this is that, like, both you and I know, like, I will never leave you. Like, I will always have an iPhone because they've made me dumb enough. Like, the whole philosophy behind Apple, but specifically the iPhone, is they make it simple enough that, like, if you come in contact with a Samsung or, like, any other type of phone, which is probably, like, objectively a better phone, you sort of, like, black out and, like, don't know how to work it. Like, I'm like, where's the camera? How do I take a picture? Like, which is on me. Like, I need to learn. But I haven't yet because Apple just makes everything so simple that, like, you have no desire to, like, venture out into the real world and figure it out on your own, They, like, helicopter parent you a little bit, which I can appreciate, which is why I've had an iPhone forever and will never not have an iPhone. But every once in a while, something will happen with my phone where I'm like, I know what you're doing. I know you want me to get the new phone. Like, either a new phone's coming out or a new phone has just come out, or, like, it's, like, around a holiday where they know, like, you might be willing to, like, spend a little bit extra money or ask for, write a letter to Santa. I don't know. And the last week, I've been having thoughts of, am I just, like, not popular this week? Like, no one's texting me. So weird, because obviously, as you can tell, like, I'm a very busy, popular person who, like, is always getting texts. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys, my phone. Which, no wonder my phone's broken because I use it so much. But the last week hasn't been the case, and I'm just like, what is happening? And then also, a few different people, and by a few I mean two, and I'm related to both of them, have been like, why aren't you answering your phone? And I'm like, what do you mean I'm not answering my phone? I always answer my phone. And they're like, yeah, you normally answer your phone, but, like, your phone isn't, like, you haven't been answering me. And then I look and I had all these texts that I didn't see. And I'm like, oh, that's so weird. But of course, I blame me. I'm a Taurus. I don't know if that's a stereotypical trait of a Taurus, but sure. I just blame myself. And then I realized my texts aren't popping up, like, as notifications. If I open the app, I can see it. But they don't just, like, pop up on the home screen. And for a second, I was like, well, that's annoying. And then I was kind of like, this is how it should be. Like, you should have to say, hello, phone, I am now ready to receive you and all of your messages. It was kind of like a brilliant way to live. So I did try and rectify the situation. I did an update. I did a hard reset, everything like that. My phone did 75 hard. And then I realized it's like nothing's working. So I kind of just accepted it. My phone is also very cracked these days. I cracked the screen like a year and a half ago. I didn't do anything for about a year. Then I fixed it. Then I cracked it again. And I've just left it cracked. Because, like, at a certain point, I've put enough money into repairing the screen of a phone that's like 6 years old. Because I'm so stubborn that I won't get a new phone. Maybe that's the Taurus. Maybe that's more Taurus-y. I don't know. I barely just learned what I am, let alone what it means. But yeah, I'm not giving them any more money. Which brings me to, I decided, hey, I'm gonna see the positive. Apple, you're not getting my money. Like, you're just not. So I just kind of surrendered to the idea that, like, my texts weren't coming up as notifications. Like, I would just have to check. And I was starting to kind of like it until about 3:04 a.m. this morning, when I was awoken by a ding, 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 ding. And every single text, which to be honest was not that many, but every single text that I had received, and, like, read, responded to, like, it didn't matter. Every single text came up at once at 3:02 a.m. Now, why 3:02 a.m., I don't know. Why it couldn't have been, like, p.m. is beyond me. But now my phone is working perfectly again. And as much as I want to think that it was, like, a coincidence or an accident, that the solution of this problem resulted in me being woken up at an ungodly hour. I know Apple too well to know that this was no coincidence. They realized, and I've always said this, like, Apple will release bugs to your phone, but, like, at a certain point, they will realize that you're not getting a new phone and, like, leave you alone. So I'm kind of glad that I'm now in, like, a leaving me alone period with Apple. But I know that they were in those headquarters being like, okay, if he doesn't want to get a new phone, that's fine. We'll fix the problem. But we're going to wake him up at 3 a.m. in the process. Like, especially in the week of daylight savings, for them to do that to me is every reason to get a Motorola flip phone, which I would totally do. I've thought about this a lot. I would say every 6 months, but pretty much every week I think, like, just give me a flip phone. Because I never had one, and I would like one. Like, I would like the experience of having a flip phone. The only problem is, like, I feel like to exist in the world, you need a smartphone. And people will make fun of that, and people will say, like, Gen Z, like, I get it. Like, I get it sounds stupid, but, like, think about it. Like, everything, not everything, but, like, a very large majority of what you do is like, made easier, at least, by having a phone. Directions. How would I get anywhere? Now, I'm pretty good at directions. I don't really go many new places, so that helps. So I feel like I could figure it out without, like, the map app. Like, I would get a map and have fun with it, like a physical map, like Dora. So that's not a problem. Apple Pay. Okay, use cash. Use cash, use cards, you'll be fine. Any sort of, like, mobile ordering. Okay, fine. Not the end of the world. I can wait in line and order. Email. Okay, you have a computer. Fair. I could type. I could type an email on a keyboard. And maybe that would be good. I wouldn't be able to answer emails when I'm not, like, at a computer. What else? Snapchat. All of my streaks would have that little timer. And yes, are any of these huge issues? No, but, like, they all add up into being a huge freaking inconvenience, and then it's like, who am I doing this for? Like, I want the betterment of my life, not the worsenment. That can't be a word. That can't be a word, but that will be the title of this episode, Worsenment. Let me just write that down. Because if I had a nickel for every time, a nickel or a dime, for every time I say, that is the title of this episode, and then go to title the episode and can't think of anything, I would be able to buy a new phone. Okay, we've made the note. But yeah, so I think, and they do this. I was going to say, I think they need to make, like, a flip phone that is a smartphone, but they totally do. Like, Motorola and Samsung figures, not Apple, have done this. So I'm going to need Apple specifically to do what they do best and just, like, copy the competitors and make a flip phone. Where I start not feeling bad for Apple, because that would be insane, but where I think that they could use a little bit more support, oddly enough, is in their streaming service. There are, like, good shows on Apple. They do good work over there, and, like, nobody cares. Like, there are, like, decently good shows. I think the reason nobody cares, or, like, the reason we can't really care, is because it's the hardest streaming service to, like, share with people, because you just log in through your Apple ID, which, like, you kind of need a code every time you log in. Like, it's just too annoying to have to share with people. So they've really figured that one out. They don't have to do the Disney Plus, like, Netflix, like, you know, doing regulations over, like, you have to be in the same household, but only for 30 days. And if you go on vacation, that's fine, but you can't be on vacation for more than, like, 14 days a year. Like, that's nonsense. I don't even fully understand it, but just in my soul, it feels like nonsense. But, like, I get it. They're trying to make money. Sure, fine. Apple, they try and make money more and harder than anyone else. And it's kind of like nobody cares. Also, maybe, I feel like Apple is only their own, like, they only have their own shows. Like, you can't watch, like, movies from 10 years ago on Apple. Like, it's just like their original programming, so maybe it's just less incentive. Also, it was one of the later ones, like I think 2019, like right before COVID, anyone and everyone got a streaming service. And it was like every week we were signing up for new free trials. I had so many free trials accidentally renew in that year that like I'm still having to work to pay it off, you know, to pay off my debts. But yeah, if you're ever bored and you have a free trial available for Apple TV, like just go for it. There's some good stuff on there. But like, again, no one cares, and it's just like, why? Why? I'm confused. What I'm not confused about is the fact that this car is getting cold. I was driving a little bit before, so I was able to heat it up. And the residual heat was lasting for a little bit, but it is now slowly drifting away. What do we have to look forward to? Okay, so we're in about the middle of March, which means Easter could almost be here. Easter could also be like 4 months away. I don't fully understand. I think Easter's in April this year. I believe I did Google that last week on this here podcast, but I don't fully remember. What we definitely don't have to look forward to is allergies. I feel like they're starting. I feel like they've been starting, and I need them to stop starting. Okay? 3 requests wrapped up in one. Every once in a while, as I'm like blowing my nose from allergies, I'm like, how powerful that like stuff just floating in the air, something as simple as pollen, can have like wreak such havoc on so many. And then I'm also like, how sensitive am I that like the air, like I'm allergic to the air. I actually don't even think, like I'm not, thankfully, very luckily, like I'm not allergic to many things, but like I don't know what specifically it is. Like I think I'm allergic to like grass or something is what my doctor told me at some point, like 15 years ago, and I just sort of clung to that. But then every once in a while when I'm, you know, taking my Flonase, I'm like, what is happening here? Like, I can't go outside without having a runny nose, and I don't even get allergies as bad as a lot of people do. So I have such sympathy. It's like just like a constant cold from March to October, and then from October to February, I have a cold just because it's like flu season. They have to find a way to like fix that. Like, is there something, I know there's all those conspiracy theories that like the planes, like, you know when you see a plane up in the sky, well, I guess where else would a plane be, but you see like the streaks of like jet fuel or whatever, and people are like, they're crop dusting us, like there's something in those chemicals, like, okay, fine, sure, there probably is, whatever, I don't know. But like, can we put like reactant or something in that as well? Like, while we're, some of these conspiracy theories, I'm like, well, while you're up there, like, just like do good and evil at the same time. Like, I get you have your like evil agenda, maybe, probably, I don't know. I'm not accusing anyone of anything, but like, while you're up there, like, do the people that like spearhead these movements, like, do they not also get allergies that they want to fix? Like, so, my point being, like, some of these conspiracies, like, if they're not true, like, maybe we should turn them around for the positive and then make them true. So, like, yeah, let's not, like, you know, maybe they're not dusting us with something or spraying us with something, but, like, that's not a bad idea if we can use it in a positive way. You know, use these conspiracy theories as, like, a foundation and a jumping off point for some, you know, positive impacts. That is either the smartest or dumbest thing I've ever said. And I'm going to leave you with that. So thank you so much if you've listened. Hopefully we can make it to the end of this intro. If you like what you've heard, you can go to, which I don't know why you would, but just in case, you can go to podcastnobodyaskforthis.podbean.com, and on there you can subscribe to the show. You can listen to the show, see links to our iTunes, Apple Podcasts, whatever it's called, Samsung Podcasts, Spotify, I think we're on. I haven't checked Spotify in a while, but I'm going to just assume that we're there. Yeah. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. And I will talk to you. I will talk to you next week. Take care. Have a great weekend. And goodbye.